So I have to correct that conception of yours that lean means probably they're taking shortcuts or anything. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you said following the entire process, it's a big myth. There is nothing called as the entire process. UX, if someone is talking about a process, it is in general that they have created a framework so that a large number of people can understand and take reference and following in adapting something in your culture. Sorry for confusing you, I'll explain it again. So whenever a framework is written, let us say lean UX process or lean research process, or even probably a hooked framework, even the design thinking process or a double diamond process, whenever these frameworks are published, they're all, let us say, concepts and frameworks presented by a person doing their research and studying a large number of organizations or whatever, and coming up with a framework which generally explains what is happening around. Okay. That's how they come up with these frameworks. And what companies and designers do is go and try to understand these frameworks and utilize those frameworks to their advantage while they're doing their own business. So, lean UX process or double diamond and all that stuff are in essence followed, but nobody follows these processes by the book. It's not like a one-to-one, okay, now I'm in divergent stage, now I'm doing this. Nobody follows these by the book, but they're always happening in terms of people are all educated about, like if I would talk about, hey, are you in a divergent state or in a convergent state? Everyone will understand it. If I say, hey, you know what, I think we need to test this versus I think we need to focus more on empathizing with the users and stakeholders, everyone will understand it. Okay. But that doesn't mean your project will happen in these 5 different stages. Or let's say, I'll come to the lean UX process, but any of these frameworks is not what dictates how your project is typically taken. That's not how companies work because real business doesn't work like that. But everyone has that mindset. And if you want to explain a current project in terms of the double diamond, you can always do that. Like if I would ask Aditi to say, hey, take your previous project and explain it to me with respect to the double diamond process, she'll definitely be able to do it. She'll be able to put all the initial ideation in the divergent stage, and then from ideas to what did they finally conclude on the convergent stage. And all the prototypes she is like, all the alternatives she has built on the UI on the third part of the double diamond. And in the end, finally, what did they go ahead with and what was developed is in the fourth stage. She can do it. I can even present my work in the double diamond process. But did I follow that process while I'm working on a project? It's not like that. It's not a straightforward following. I've done it. I've always been doing it. I can always explain it in that manner. That's it. Okay. So this is how you need to have your mind. Now coming to a lean UX process, it is a methodology which saying instead of whenever you would add the word lean, all it means is do things fast and fail fast. That's what it means. So by default, growth startups are lean. There are almost no startups and companies today definitely focused on growth and who have received this funding and all that stuff. None of them are non-lean. They're all lean because this lean concept as a thing which kind of was popularized many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, probably. That's when it popularly became thing. And for understanding more about lean, I would definitely ask you to read this book called The Lean Startup, and everything, you will understand everything of what I'm trying to say. You'll understand what was the initial product development model and how did they shift to lean, and all that stuff will make more sense. But in essence, all you need to understand is, if you see, as when I ask Aditi said, because we are a startup, we are trying to do everything in a fast-paced manner. That's it. Of course, when we say fast-paced manner versus when Aditi says fast-paced manner, there is a huge difference because of the scale of things which we handle. But none of us are involved in doing anything in a previous model where we are like totally secret. We will try and do everything for a huge amount of time, and then we think we will release it, and nobody wants it. Nobody follows this model anymore. Smaller chunks of the projects, MVP, we call it, right? Minimum viable project, launch it, understand how it is working, take learnings, fail fast, build a next version, build a next version, build a next version, build a next version. Therefore, you always see development happening for that particular feature. Next versions are always coming. So even for physical products, even for phones, everywhere it is a lean process right now. For even the software, like every day in some software, you see an update every day, every week. Why? Lean. So that's how it works. Everyone is working on a lean UX process in essence. Okay.
So Anudeep, lean process, is it like do first and think later, like create
We're always thinking, we're always doing. In fact, Priyanka, none of you need to worry about what lean is because all of us are automatically lean. There are hardly any companies not following the lean method anymore. Let us say if your company is focused on, hey, let's take the next 1 month and launch this particular feature. Just launch it first. And then these features later. Okay. So they make a big stack rank of all the features and say this is P0. P0 means launch now, build it now. P1, after you launch this, as a quick follow up, launch these things. If your company is talking this language, that means you're already lean. The company is already lean.
So do they like skip the research part or directly jump onto assumptions and make the features and then test it out, or they still follow the whole process and do it little faster? I mean, how is it like?
Okay, so I need to correct your perspective before I even answer this question.
Yeah.
Lean doesn't mean you're taking shortcuts. Lean only says fail faster. You can't say that, hey, you know what, I am lean, therefore I'm not doing research. We are not lean, therefore we are doing research. No, we do research even in lean setups. So I have to correct that conception of yours that lean means probably they're taking shortcuts or anything. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you said following the entire process, it's a big myth. There is nothing called as the entire process. No one defined that this is the UX process and everyone has to follow it. That is not defined, frankly speaking. That's why I'm saying your double diamond process or design thinking, any of these frameworks are important to be learned, understood, the heart, but it's not like they are followed as per the book. That's not how these processes are followed. Instead, you always have an idea of how these things work and you build your products in a pretty fast paced manner. You don't want to wait until you build a perfect product. You want to build a first version, test it out, see if it is working or not, and then go and build another version. This is the difference between lean versus non lean. A non lean would not launch an imperfect product. They would wait until they think that they've created one perfect product, only then launch, only to realize that, it's like a hit or a flop. Let's say a movie making industry is not lean because it cannot be. It's very difficult. Either have to make a perfect movie, it either is a hit or a flop. It's not like I make a first version of the movie, launch it, test it with the audience, and then next part, and in the end, finally, I'll come up with a Bahubali. Sorry, I mean, such process doesn't exist right now. It is a risk. It is a huge risk. So the same thing was happening in the product industry as well. But thanks to software industry, this is not required anymore because your software can be released on the go. You don't have to ship the products with perfect software anymore. You have a version of a software, you can obviously upgrade it. So therefore, the entire methodology totally changed. Okay, this is an overall view, Priyanka. As an individual designer, you can't say that I am lean versus non-lean. You're all by default lean,
Yeah,
right?
so all in all, like all the companies, all the apps, they are following the lean method only because they
Correct.
launch feature by feature. They don't launch the feature at once. Yeah.
Yes.